Welcome to Albania here in February 2023. I want to complain a bit about the international community's policy towards Albania because I think the buck stops here. This is really deeply problematic what we have done. This neglect of Albania and this political intervention to support socialist Albania since 2013, this has to stop now. There are many reasons for this failed policy, but that it fails. This affair of McGonigal, this FBI representative in New York who has obviously threatened Albanian businessmen with sanction in order to enrich himself, who has made a lot of manipulations, and who is serving Deripaska in America. I mean, this is all quite outrageous. And I was also already critical in 2013 by this unbelievable level of support for the socialists by the international community for the transition. But in a way, of course, after 8 years there was a case. But to continuously, despite this performance, to support Albanian Socialist Party in power, just, with the argument that Berisha is worse, is a bit, it's for me beyond understanding, and I really reject it. We support now for the third mandate because in 2021 he was re-elected, also with the help of the international community. And imagine how it is really. It's a personality who is not shying away to bribe American FBI officials for his political purposes. I mean, this is pretty bad. American FBI officials to take money from Albanian government, but also it's the Albanians who are corrupting your American officials. And let's really dig deeper. Who else got money here from these sources? And this is absolutely unacceptable. Imagine, there's 200 governments in the world and they all bribe American or European officials to get what they want. We just had this big scandal in the European Parliament about this Kelly from the Socialists, again the Socialists, and this is really outrageous. And I really think we should drive this socialist corruption theme in the European Parliament and also in America now really very hard into the European election campaign for 2024, because it's proven they corrupt our officials. And the socialists are the first to take it. It seems quite obvious now, and it's a major scandal. And the support for Socialist Albania for the third mandate. And again, they want to support him now for the mayor's direction, the other candidate, Some of them, there's a different degree of competence and of performance, but in general, it's quite outrageous. We are in a country here, this is the monument against communism in Albania. This is from the concentration camp of Spac, and they were driving a lot of people into their death and working them to death in the mountains of Albania and the mines. And we are in such a country, and then we say, we don't want the populist Berisha in power. He's a very serious EPP man. And of course there are many issues with him as well. I'm absolutely aware about all these things, but that we then support only the socialists because of the claimed income imperfection of the alternative, and for a third mandate. If that's the European and American policy, it really is extremely questionable, and it is not acceptable in my view. Let's not forget, here is the other bunker. I mean, we are in this kind of country, and this is the tradition here. And to have one of the most unreformed socialist party, the choice of the international community for stability, and we look away to all the absolute extreme corruption inside the construction sector here in Tirana especially. And we accept it because we have then stability. We have one man to talk to. We know the guy. He's our guy in a way. And that is pretty unacceptable. And if that's the maximum we can achieve, I'm really very sorry for the Albanians in all sides, but also the international politics. And my proposals then are said, you're not serious, Günther. How come you proposed the euro? No, because we did it in Kosovo and in Montenegro. And of course it reduces the corruption if we have one currency, a European currency, which the Albanian political elite cannot influence and where the central bank has very little to say then. This is much better, obviously. And obviously it's much better to put Albania in the customs union. And obviously it's much better to have it inside the European Union completely, because we have then direct executive control, juridical control. And where we don't have it, we have it because the Germans and the French have not completed the European unification project. That we don't have the justice system completed, Europeanized. It's a mistake of us in the Western Europeans. We leave these countries out and then we mess in their systems. We support socialists to keep the power for 10 years and allow them to build this oligarchic form of capitalism which the socialists love. Few people control most of the things and abuse the rest and create a patronage system per excellence. I call all the political scientists, look at what they have done. This is the typical socialist-controlled kleptocratic economy now, because we allowed it to happen. Instead of a SME center-right-wing competition European model, where you have real competition authorities, where you have real kind of competition and competitive economy, and where you have transparency, where you have low taxation, where you have flat tax best of all, and where you have also a kind of welcoming atmosphere for international investors. For 10 years almost nobody was coming to invest in Albania. Why? Nobody serious. Some Italian sweatshop owners, that you can have, of course, but that's of course not serious investment. Where the big international infrastructure? Where's the general level of progress? Berisha, you like him or not, but for 8 years, from 2005 to 2013, he revolutionized the infrastructure situation of Albania. And now they have achieved almost nothing in the remaining in the last 10 years. The North-South highway is not built, The Kosovo highway is not finished, The Macedonian highway is not finished. The Greek highway is not finished, Of course, the cities look a bit better, but we are 10 years ahead. It's no longer 2013, it's 2023, 10 years of development. And of course, I blame the Europeans because they put their power on the socialists for stability reason, because we know the guy, he's our guy, and we look away for all the wrong things. And there is many of them. I gave you the case yesterday, and just let's explain a bit. There is the guy, he's Abem Ahmetai. He's the guy who gave me in 2013 the red card to be kicked out of this country. Abem Ahmetai, Minister of Economy back then. He is now the minister, he was the deputy prime minister. He was in charge of the European reconstruction money after the earthquake. Imagine that one, He was in charge of the European reconstruction of the earthquake. About $1 billion the US gave him, and it was justified, was a terrible earthquake, reconstruction necessary, he is in charge. Now, this year, he is no longer in this country, he is in Sweden, and he is no longer in power. And his former chief of staff, that's a person who has it's a chief of staff, a head of cabinet, She probably has 1,000 euro, let's say, whatever. That's the salary level of such a person, And she is going to the police because her cleaning lady has stolen 500,000 euros from her, because she kept it in the cupboard in her house because they don't know what to do with the cash anymore. And these are the people in charge of reconstruction contracts, 1 billion. I mean, why don't we have a EPP, also EEP, European Parliament investigative committee for that? For example. I mean, this is outrageous. This is the man responsible to implement these reconstruction efforts, and his chief of staff has so much money, I don't wonder what he has. Abem Ahmetai, that's the case. Damian Chiknuri, he goes in the American Congress and says he warns of Russian activities. That's very good. He is the Minister of Energy. So let's analyze this. Of course, I'm very much against Russian activities in the oil sector in Albania. But in reality, what we find out now with this McGonigal thing is that they have basically, McGonigal has intervened on behalf of an Austrian-Russian consortium, Swiss-Austrian-Russian consortium, probably a Russian consortium. I mean, so they claim to say no to Russia, but in back they work with an American FBI official, which they corrupted, into a system where they work then indirectly for Russian interest, while always claiming to fight against Russian interest. What a perfidy! And they work against legitimate American interests who are interested in the oil sector. I mean, and you know, this is the same McGonigal who is then going here to the big business people, to the oligarchs who are connected to Rama, telling them that he will put sanctions on them in order to extort money from them. I mean, this is the level of complicity and perfidy here. And that's what we have allowed by supporting Rama for 10 years. Yeah? And unchecked power. And if it's really true that the FBI report about the persona non grata of Berisha is indirectly manipulated via the FBI, the decision. I mean, imagine that one. That Rama is abusing the FBI to declare his opposition leader, Berisha, as persona non grata from the US. I mean, I couldn't think about such a scheme. And it seems to be happening. I mean, this will all now work out in the system, and there is already a big investigation in America. In Europe, the scandal has not completely understood, but I will make sure that it is also on the Austrian media and in the European Parliament, because this is really wild, yeah? Because basically it's very much about Deripaska. Let's not forget Deripaska, a very Austrian-Russian oligarch and American-Russian oligarch, is abusing his Strabag contacts here to use the old secret service networks of the Albanian secret service in the United States, yeah? Because like all of them, they have this inherited legacy communist secret service networks in the US, and they use these agents, Deripaska, via Austria, via Albania, to bribe American officials to get off the sanctions list. I mean, this is something really seriously also America has to think about it, how you really treat FBI officials and what kind of side business you allow them. That's quite shocking, but it must be also for Austria to reconsider our whole policy towards Russia and towards, of course, NATO, Western integration, and it's quite shocking. And then under the name of Austrian investment comes Russian kind of activity towards the Albanian oil sector with the help of a rogue American FBI agent. I mean, you can make a movie about that one and nobody will believe you. But it's all factual, and this is quite shocking, yeah. Anyhow, so you see this policy of the international community towards the NATO allies since basically, honestly, since George Bush has left. He was bringing Croatia and, of course, Albania into NATO. He was not successful with Macedonia, and since then we really have a big crisis because we've lost the momentum after the financial crisis, and we keep here on the stability track everything. We don't integrate them into the EU, while again, you know, the logic, I want to explain it again. Inside the EU we have much better efforts. And let's not forget, Croatia we cleaned up because of EU entry. Senada had to resign because of EU entry, and he was then in jail. Yeah? So the EU, it must be very serious integrating the NATO allies, yeah? And then cleaning up it simultaneously and having all this administrative, political and juridical access because they are EU members, because they have to comply. And this is the way you clean up transition countries and no way else. Anyhow, it's all a bit disappointing. But on the other hand, it's a wonderful country. I fully endorse the EU membership, and I call as well to clean up all the mess here, to have early elections and to manage the situation here much better, and to have it inside the European Union. Again, I feel completely vindicated what I say all the time. There should have been already a rotation in 2021. And we wouldn't have all the mess, but instead of the rotation, they have done the non grata for the opposition leader, and they have kind of manipulated into a third mandate the international community. And with all my pro-Americanism and all my pro-Europeanism, this is really very disappointing. This is really very bad, yeah? And it has to change now. Really, you have to get serious. And my strategy is again very clear. Adopt the euro in all the pro-NATO accession countries in the Balkans and in Ukraine, first of all. Supply Ukraine for victory. You know, Albania has a lot of ammunition production facilities from the communists. Fully motivate them and pay them to get this done, to supply Ukraine. Let's have everybody in the EU Customs Union immediately, all the 9 countries. Let's have Albania in the European Union. Let's have it as an observer in a way, from candidate to observer, but inside the European Union legally. Let's have no voting right for them, maybe in the beginning for a 5-year period until they have complied to the perfection, which unfortunately we also have not reached in Austria even. Yeah? So that's my strategy, and please, O Sotimat, Kismet Inshallah, it's a much better strategy than what we have seen from the international community in the last 10 years in Albania. And shame them, shame the diplomats, shame the politicians, yeah, because what you have created here is really a complete mess, yeah. And if any of the diplomats again come to me and say, oh Günther, we have such a really good policy in Albania because we have allowed Rama 3 times and he corrupted our FBI official. I mean, imagine, the guy. Oh, anti-corruption efforts. I'm really on anti-corruption. I say transparency in the construction sector. Since 15 years I say this, yeah. Digital construction permits, yeah. I say the Macedonian model for Albania, for example, and for Kosovo and everywhere. You know, we can easily do it. I'm on track record in my videos, tweets and my professional work here to fight against corruption. What exactly has the international community done here? The justice reform. Not yet me started. The result is that Rama is completely controlling all the judges here. Wonderful vetting process. Let them reapply only the conform judges. No. No. The buck stops here in the Ukraine war. We need a better strategy. More unity is the answer, but inside the European Union for the NATO allies, enlargement of NATO, EU, OECD and Schengen must be done. No to the urbanization of the Austrian People's Party, and yes to pro-European Albania in the European Union. Yes to the euro in this beautiful country, and yes to a clear anti-corruption agenda which is based on exactly what I have proposed: the euro, the digital construction permits and the digitalization of the municipalities. All is very well famous. Why didn't we do it? Why didn't we ask Rama to do it? Why didn't we insist on it? Because we never really engaged in membership, because we are racist and xenophobes and anti-Semites and protectionists, yeah. And the French, we have left the EU for the French to dominate, yeah. And Macron is completely mismanaging the Balkans and therefore and Ukraine and creating this war which we have here. Mr. Ischinger, Mr. Macron, Mr. Scholz, yeah. You have created this war by appeasing Russia and Serbia. And you have let the situation in the Balkans slide into this socialist chaos like in Albania, and you have derailed the whole European project with your miserable performance. And it's a shame. And all the diplomats who are so good diplomats and academically grandiose people, I always have to listen to them. And then they perform so miserable. And then they support 10 years Rama, a man who doesn't shy away to corrupt American FBI officials. The buck stops here, guys. It's a big shame. And we have to have a different policy in Europe. Once which comes back to what George Bush, and in the 2000s we did it all inside the EU and NATO, the euro and American power, and fighting the corrupt elements in American and European governance, and integrating and reforming and enlarging our system. And let's win. Let's win by more unity. Let's win against Russia, and let's confront Serbia hard, and let's support Albania, North Macedonia, Montenegro in the European Union. Let's not lose again against Russian and Serbian revanchism, and let's not support socialists, corrupt socialists, but let's integrate and reform. You know, there can be good social democrats here, but let's work with new modern people who are European, and that's what I call here. And let's not make compromises for stability with socialist corrupt leaders just because it's convenient, because we know the guy already and he is more or less doing what we're saying. And in fact, he's not. I don't see any Ukrainian flag here in this place. Yeah? And when you look at the history of Albanian communism, to then continuously support the socialists so long, it's really a big shame. Yes, and let's change that. It's a wonderful country. I like it very much. Please support it inside the European Union. We will reform it inside the European Union with the euro, with the customs union, with whole implementation efforts of the European supervision of our regulation, and it will be much better. And thanks a lot for that. Bye from European Albania. Ciao.